Nair, our Indian ambassador to Chile. His Excellency Mr. Juan Angulo, Ambassador of Chile to India, our young and dynamic FICCI Regional Council Chair, Mr. Arvind Varchesvi, Mr. George Oran, Director General Pro Chile, Mr. Manish Singhal, Deputy Secretary General FICCI, who heads FICCI's international outreach. So now, with these words, may I now request Arvind Varchesvi ji to chair the opening session. Over to you, Varchesvi ji.
Yes, all right. Thank you very much, Gajendraji. At the outset, I would like to welcome each and everyone to the Namaskar Pacific Alliance. This particular dialogue would be on deepening and strengthening the bilateral trade and investment scenario between India and Chile. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of FICCI, I am pleased to be here with you in this evening. I would like to acknowledge and very honored to have Ms. Anita Nair, our Honorable Ambassador of India to Chile, His Excellency Mr. Juan Angulo, Ambassador of Chile to India, Mr. George Orion, Director General Pro Chile, fellow speakers, and my dear friends from India and Chile. Due to COVID-19, the worlds are practicing social distancing. However, the countries affected by the pandemic are coming closer to each other. In the current situation, throughout the world, industries are compelled to adopt technology. Thus, a proactive and enabling approach to industry to combat the current situation and having a foresight of the new reality is the primary requirement. The Pacific Alliance is a Latin American trade bloc formed by Chile, Colombia, Mexico, and Peru, which are all border Pacific Ocean. Collectively, these four countries represent the 8th largest economy in the world. They represent 37% of the region's GDP and account for 52% of its trade. The alliance also attracts 45% of Latin America's foreign direct investment, the FDI. I would like to start the session by briefly sharing that Namaskar Pacific Alliance is a flagship initiative of FICCI, and we plan to organize a series of virtual exhibitions and conferences in Pacific Alliance countries to proactively promote business connect, trade, investments, relations, especially with an eye for the future between India and the Pacific Alliance grouping. This webinar would act as a build-up main Namaskar Pacific Alliance Expo scheduled in the later part of the year. In the past couple of years, exchanges at the highest levels, be it between heads of government or senior cabinet ministers, give bilateral relationships the much needed momentum to move forward. There is no country in the world farther away from India than Chile. Yet, what we have seen over the past decade is proof that we may not be living at the end of history, we are at the end of geography as we know it. Globalization has facilitated much of this change, and India and Chile have certainly made the most of its part of the global south. There are various complementaries between both economies. Chile is the world's leading copper producer and exporter and agricultural, fishing, and forestry powerhouse. India is a producer of many industrial inputs and consumer products at competitive prices. Still, despite this, there were little going on between both the countries even in 2003, when bilateral trade was in the range of a mere $300 to $400 million. Yet over the past decade, a change has taken place in India-Chile relations as much as it has in India's ties with the with the countries. In the past 4 years, bilateral trade increased sixfold, reaching approximately $2.5 billion. A preferential trade agreement (PTA) was signed in 2006. Chile has become one of the largest trading partners of India among the Latin American region. India and Chile signed a first bilateral trade agreement in 1956. Thereafter, in 2005, that the two signed another agreement on a framework for further cooperation. From there, the next milestone for the two regional powers came in 2016, and Chile and India signed preferential trade agreement to significantly widen the scope of concessional duty rates on goods and traded between them. The two countries made commitments to significantly reduce tariff lines on each other's exported goods. Between them, they offered concessions to each other on a total of 2,829 tariff lines. Chile and India will seek greater cooperation in health and pharmaceutical, mining and minerals, space and ICT, agriculture, solar, energy, traditional medicine, between both the countries, social development, specifically on disability issues, management of natural disasters. And with this thought, I would like to leave you all for seeing that how we could bring this relationship a whole lot closer. And I also take this opportunity to welcome Mr. George O'Ryan, Director General of Pro Chile, to continue with the ceremony. Thank you very much. Over to you, Mr. Ryan.
Good morning, everybody from Chile, dear Ambassador Anita Nayar, and also hi, Ambassador Juan Angulo, Mr. Avent Warszawski, Mr. Carlos Sublet, industry representative, and also government representative. Good morning. Also a special greetings for our Chile teams and in Delhi and Mumbai as well. It gives me a great pleasure to be able to deliver these welcoming remarks. As our new foreign minister, Mr. Andres Salaman, has repeatedly mentioned in the last days, our foreign and trade policies must not overlook India. Furthermore, he has emphasized the need to conduct a sustained effort in order for Chile and India to develop a strong and, I would say, a multidimensional partnerships towards the development of win-win strategy that brings us closer. This effort has to involve the private and public sector and also the academia. We in Chile, from our side, want to be an essential part of that multidimensional approach to India through facilitating the internationalization of what we do best, which is why we recently opened a second office, trade office in India, in Mumbai. We are mindful of the knowledge gaps between our industry, the attitudes of market size, I mean GDP and population-wise, as well as the geographical distance that separate us. However, there are two factors that help us bridge these gaps. First, we know our strengths, and therefore we are aware that there are areas of the economy in which we excel. We want to bring those to India and scale them in a market with tremendous growth potential. Secondly, we strongly believe in digitalization and the elimination of barriers, the interconnection of business. Our meeting here today is proof of how much of a greater reach we can achieve when we operate in the digital world. I ask myself the following question. So we want Chile to be in the medium term in India. We set for ourselves clear target based both on our strengths and the opportunities presented by India. First, we want to be partners in innovation. India is one of the most vibrant innovation ecosystems worldwide, with a yearly growth of 12 to 15%, the creation of 8,000 to 9,000 new startups per year. They have tremendous, huge figures. It is an environment which welcomes startups with scaling potential. We where we must open opportunities for our startups, I mean the Chilean startups. Secondly, as a food-producing powerhouse, Chile has to increase its exports to India, targeting particularly the growing middle class SMEs, which is demanding a broader portfolio of goods. While we need to deal with logistic difficulties, we believe that growth potential in dry and fresh food, seafood, and processed food is impressive, considering that as of 2019, we export roughly over $15 million in food and beverages, while India is a whole imported over $8.3 billion in food and beverages. Finally, we are developing a global strategy in order to conquer for Chilean goods the e-commerce channels. We've put a strong bet on what are today largest e-commerce markets worldwide: China, US, and Japan. But our strategy aims to further position Chilean goods in e-commerce markets that are showing large growth rates, such as India's. The positioning strategy should amplify Chile's visibility in India, which is definitely needed. These targets are based on one key pillar for us, which is the enhancement of our trade relationships through the second expansion of our trade agreement currently under negotiation. We trust that the early conclusion of this negotiation will open up further opportunities for both of us. I think it's very important in bilateral relationships and a win-win position for both parts. I think that's very, very important. Last but not least, the expansion of our bilateral trade will generate opportunities for both Chilean and Indian enterprises to join each other global value chains. Here, the invitation is not to think of Chile in individual terms, but in the Pacific Alliance collectively as the free trade zone we jointly have represents today the 8th largest economy worldwide. It can certainly become a platform for trade and investment in the region, LATAM region, for India's business. We've witnessed it over the past decade, the incremental growth of several of India's enterprises in Chile and Latin America, such as Mahindra and Tata, to name two, and believe there is an ample room for further bilateral trade and investment. And I put forward an invitation to everyone at this seminar to explore this partially uncharted territory. To conclude these remarks, I would like to thank all the organizers for putting this event together, to which you all have an interesting session. We look forward with great optimism and many ideas, and I would say a lot of activities in the in the near future to build strong and strong bridges between both countries. Take care of yourself in these difficult days for all of us. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. George O'Ryan, Director General of ProChile, for your welcome remarks. We would like to reciprocate and resonate the thoughts that what you shared with us. And I think from industry side, from both sides, we have a lot to explore and see that how we could get our businesses a whole lot closer. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen,
welcome.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, I would also like to take this opportunity to wish and pray the best of health for all my fellow panel members and all of the business members and all members joining in on this conference here, and wishing all your families the best of health during these tough times, as what Mr. O'Ryan also mentioned. May I now please request our Honorable Ambassador, Her Excellency Anita Nair, Indian Ambassador to Chile, to please give her address. Ambassador, over to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Arvind. I would like to, first of all, thank everyone, the organizers, the panelists, the participants. This is a great initiative, and I'm glad you are thinking regionally and at the same time acting bilaterally. Today's webinar is a perfect example of that. I haven't really prepared any remarks, so I shall just share a few random thoughts. One, we've always said that there are three basic problems which inhibit trade between India and Chile. One is the distance, second is the language, the third is the tariffs. As far as distance is concerned, I think COVID has opened our eyes, because I have never seen so much interaction between India and Chile than I have seen in the last 6 months. Because having a video conference, speaking digitally, is so much easier than taking a delegation, organizing logistics, all that kind of jazz. And I think we've discovered that distance is a notion which digitally can easily be overcome. So in the future, I don't think distance is going to count as a problem, except when you talk about actual transport of goods. And for that, we are in a bit of a catch-22 situation, in the sense that we do not have direct shipping, we do not have faster logistic connections, because we do not have the volume. And it is a question of what comes first, the volume or the connections. And given the way the world is today, I think the volumes have to come first, which puts a lot of, incentive on both sides to increase the volumes, to encourage better logistics. I would also request Indian entrepreneurs to think about warehousing in Chile. As far as I know, Ashok Leyland is the only company which is taking advantage of the EKK free trade zone here. They export to Bolivia and to Peru, and they have a warehousing operation here in Chile. I think many more Indian companies should take advantage of that, because that would help with the time frames and would help you overcome some of the logistic problems. As far as Chilean entrepreneurs are concerned, I would encourage them to think specifically about logistics, warehousing, cold chain infrastructure in India, because we need that investment, and Chile needs that investment in order to penetrate more into the Indian market. Right now, your penetration into India is limited because we don't have the infrastructure to take your products, especially the perishable products, to every corner of India. We had a very interesting conversation the other day between some major retail companies in India, like the Future Group and the Association of Exporters, Fruit Exporters here in Chile. And infrastructure in India has been identified as a bottleneck. And I would encourage Chileans to look at that side of it and try and invest in our infrastructure, help improve it, because it'll have a benefit Chilean exports. Pharmaceuticals, we have clearly a reputation as one of the world's largest producers of generics, and we also provide quality at relatively low cost, and Chile needs to take advantage of that. Unfortunately, if I may say so, there is a very, very um, mindset in Chile, which I think needs to be overcome. Chile needs to open itself more to new areas. The traditional dependence and the traditional uh, mindset of looking to Europe and to the US, I think should change. Uh, and that applies to Ayurveda, especially, Arvind, because the Chilean government needs to approve Ayurveda as a legitimate alternative form of medicine. And we need to do a lot of work there, a lot of education, a lot of, because we face problems in with regular pharmaceuticals, because the approval process is quite complicated and it's quite long. And with Ayurveda, it'll be even longer and more complicated. But I think it's an effort which we should make, because it is the way the world is going. Alternative forms of medicine, more natural, more holistic. This is more now becoming a question of lifestyle rather than just trade. As far as food and beverages are concerned, Chile clearly has the advantage. But again, I request you to look at infrastructure. And I also would like to say that India has products which Chile could take advantage of um, in terms of not just natural, organic products, but also things which are specific to India. For example, we talk about mangoes. I think very few people in Chile know the range of mangoes that India has. Very few people in Chile know the range of bananas that India has. Uh, so there are a lot of areas with potential, but we need to be more proactive and we need to be more creative in identifying these areas and promoting them. A lot of publicity on both sides, a lot of sharing of information on both sides is required. And this kind of webinar is perhaps a very good first step, but we need to build on it and try and have more specific, more focused discussions. Next time, just one sector. But also, Arvind, I would like to, before we began, you were talking about, or was it in your remarks? I've forgotten, about disaster relief, disaster management. And that, again, is an example of what I meant when I said we should think creatively about new sectors, new areas, because disaster management is something which we are now taking very seriously with Prime Minister Modi's new initiative. And Chile is one of the countries with the best expertise in the world. And it's a very, very good area where we can move forward and develop relationships. I'm sure we can identify many new sectors, especially when it comes to science and technology, when it comes to space, when it comes to agriculture. So we need to move forward on many different fronts. The final thing I would like to say is that I'm very happy that we are putting together the framework infrastructure. We have the tariff agreement, which is slowly taking care of the tariffs problems. We have now our avoidance of double taxation agreement. We are hoping to have a bilateral investment protection agreement. We are talking about cooperation between customs services, between police services. All this is building a kind of legal framework which at the end of the day will help businessmen on both sides by giving them a clear basis for cooperation. So I think we're on the right track. Thank you again, all of you, for participating in this, and I wish you all the best of luck. Thank you.
Your Excellency, Ambassador Ms. Nair, it's a pleasure to look at the varied aspects that what you've brought across through your address. It's been extremely candid, but you've really brought the points that what entrepreneurs and business houses from both sides could really see that how they could bring their businesses together. You also touched upon areas that where both Chile and India can actually synergize a whole lot more in specific sectors also that what you've mentioned. I'm sure that everybody listening to your thoughts here today would actually have certain steps that what they can take across and see that how their trade relations could actually take the next step. When it comes to Ayurveda, I would appeal to both Honorable Ambassador Anita Nair and also His Excellency, Juan Angulo, to see that how we could really champion this system of medicine that has benefited not only India but a whole lot of countries across the world. The Ministry of Ayush, an entire ministry has been constituted for this particular system of medicine, and also a group of systems of medicine that what India has been championing, and it has a ministry of its own. So we'll be happy to see that how with our Honorable Ambassador Anita Nair, she's guidance and also your guidance here, Your Excellency, we'll be more than happy to see that how this could be championed. Having said that, thank you so much, Ambassador Anita Nair, for your kind remarks. And may I now request His Excellency Mr. Juan Angulo, Ambassador of Chile to India, to take the floor. Mr. Juan Angulo is, has been a career diplomat and economist from the University of Chile, having obtained the Faculty of Economics and Administrative Sciences Prize for the best graduate student as well. In Chile, he has also held the functions in the office of the Vice Minister of Foreign Affairs, having served as Chief of Staff. So I would request His Excellency to please come and give his special address. Thank you very much. Over to you, Your Excellency.
Thank you very much for your kind words. Thank you very much indeed. Dear Director General for Chile, Ambassador Jorge Ryan, and dear colleague Ambassador Anita Nair, Mr. Bashvashi, Mr. Carlos Sublet, and all the representatives of Indian and Chilean industry and government attending this webinar. Good morning to you all, and good evening for us in Delhi. It's an honor and a pleasure, of course, for me to address you today. This year, we commemorate the 71st anniversary of the establishment of diplomatic relations between India and Chile, an event that took place in 1949. Since then, we have built on common grounds on the international fora, and we have in the past collaborated in many areas of mutual interest. Our bilateral relationships developed within a framework of mutual understanding, development of political affinities, and the permanent search of new areas of cooperation. This affinity reflects at the political level, for instance, in the recent visit to Chile of President Covid in April last year, in which a meeting of businessmen from both countries took place for exploring ways to foster trade and economic relationships. I must also mention the 3 meetings between President Pinera and Prime Minister Modi last year, before the pandemic affected us all. We are looking forward for the visit of President Pinera to India to correspond to the President of India to Chile last year. In the bilateral field, we work hard to fit as much as possible the common agenda, and we are happy to develop currently a very positive and constructive talks in where we engage in several fields of mutual interest, and in which you may find also some very interesting business opportunities. Just to mention a few of them, as Ambassador Nayar mentioned, we are working in mining, developing our trade relations, agriculture. We are just trying to create a working group on phytosanitary matters, space and satellite tracking. We are also doing some hard work on that. Drugs, pharmaceuticals, medicines, or cooperation in the field of persons with disabilities, for instance. In the commercial area, since the entrance into force of the preferential trade agreement, the numbers show an increment in trade from $1.5 billion in 2006 to nearly $2.5 billion in the recent years, of course, with ups and downs. We are convinced that there is a lot of potential in trade and that the current numbers in the next future should increase and reflect better the real complementarity between our two countries, and not just the limits due to distance or lack of direct shipping routes. As was mentioned previously, that is a reality, but we have to find ways to work with these realities and foster our trade and relationships. We strongly encourage our Chilean companies to come to India and explore the business opportunities it can offer. The embassy and the commercial office we are very disposal to help you to cross the ocean and find new markets here. I agree completely, 100% with what Ambassador Nayar said. I had just have that in my presentation. There is a lot of opportunities in India, especially in the supply chain, in the cold chain, and in the logistics in general, especially in the agro-business. As Ambassador O'Raya mentioned, we are looking forward to start the second round of the second expansion of our preparation trade agreement. The negotiations were planned to take place in Delhi in March this year, but they were suspended by the COVID crisis. We are ready to engage in this process, but with ambition of increase substantially the number of goods covered by the agreement, but at the same time deepen the preferences from the current levels. We are also looking forward to talk about services and investments with our Indian counterparts, and both parties have agreed to treat these important subjects in parallel and independent tracks. We think there is a necessity of deepening trade relations for the benefits of both populations as a reaction to the increasing protectionism and commercial wars, not to mention the new challenges imposed by the COVID crisis. Last numbers show that every country's commerce and GDP contracted in the last months, and Chile and India have both suffered from that very same situation. I think therefore there's a need to look for ways of reversing this tendency. We believe that trade and investments can help us in doing so. Chile offers, among other things, an effective rule of law, very friendly commercial ecosystems, access to new markets thanks to the extensive network of free trade agreements, very good and reliable infrastructure, wide digital connectivity, and a strong and business-oriented banking sector. Chile must also be seen as a bridge to the markets of the rest of South America and the region. For instance, those markets of Mercosur and, as Jorge mentioned, of the Pacific Alliance. The pandemic is affecting all countries, and we face similar challenges, not only because of the virus, but also for the fast recovery of the economy and international trade. We also consider that activities like this webinar may help in finding ways to increase commerce and business, lifting barriers and fostering jobs and economic activity in both Chile and India, for the, of course, mutual benefit of our people. I would like also, at the end, thank very much FICCI for the support in the past, since we have always found a very receptive response to our proposals. We see that we share common commitment to foster our economic relationships between Chile and India. So I hope that you will enjoy the session. Thank you very much, sir.
Your Excellency, thank you very much for those words. I think you've really encapsulated the possibilities and also the scope that how bilateral relations could happen between both India and Chile. I'm very happy to note that you did stress upon a sector of agriculture. Here, I just want to make a mention to you that agriculture is a sector where India recently has also given across a good boost. It's gone one step further to also see that how the medicinal plants here in the country is also given a bigger boost. The National Medicinal Plant Board where also I'm a board member, has also brought across an entire chain to see that how they could imbibe agricultural methodologies from different countries. So I welcome all entrepreneurs from Chile to come and explore this particular possibility and also exchange ideas and also encourage entrepreneurs from here in India to also go look at what are the possibilities and synergies that what Chile also has to offer. Thank you so much, Your Excellency. From here, I'm handing over the floor to Mr. Carlos Soblete, General Manager, Santiago Chamber of Commerce, to invite the other panelists to have a fruitful discussion on the bilateral trade and investment scenario between India and Chile. Thank you.
Thank you, Arvind. Honor to follow Ambassador Nayar and Ambassador Angulo, and also our director, Jorge Ryan, and invite and have these few words to start the conversation through the sectors. We will talk about pharmaceutical, IT, and food and beverage sectors, and before handing to our great panelists, I was just listening. First, Jorge talking about the $8.3 billion of Indian imports in the food sector. That is impressive, and considering that Chile is only taking a really small share of that, I will see their huge opportunities. Ambassador Nayar talks about logistics and infrastructure, and that it is amazing that how we can today think on being part of that supply chain challenges, especially in these times. Ambassador Angulo talked about these 71 years of relationship between these two countries and how complementary of our economies could be. So there is a lot to talk here, and there is a lot of opportunities to address, and probably it's really interesting to have three sectors that are already doing it. So I want to handle to our great also ask for the people that if they have questions, please use the chat to handle the questions to us. I have some questions already worked, but it could be very interesting if the attendees can, through the chat, send us their questions. So just to handle to Anupama Rao Singh, Dr. Reddy's Emerging Market, and Vicente Astorga, President of Canalab, if they can enlighten us in a few words in terms of what they are doing in the pharmaceutical sector.
Thank you very much, Mr. Carlos. Good evening and good morning to all the dignitaries, Madam Ambassador Anita Nayar, His Excellency Mr. Juan Angulo, and Mr. George O'Ryan. It was a pleasure listening to you give an overview of Chile and the plans of Chile and India bilateral partnerships. What Mr. Arvind Varchesri said in the beginning gave a very good context of how big the LATAM region is and how important is Chile for the Indian business. Coming to the pharmaceutical sector, Chile pharmaceutical sector in the LATAM region plays a very important role. After, say, Brazil, Colombia, Peru, Chile also plays at $2 billion market, very important for the Indian pharma industry. It has got a consistent growth across all the therapeutic areas in the pharma industry, and lately with Senabast meeting and focusing on the importance of bringing down the cost of drugs, focusing on generics importation, that augurs very well with what companies like ours, like Dr. Reddy's, is also planning to do and is focusing on in Chile. We have been present in Chile for more than a decade through a partnership now with our own presence there, having launched high quality generics in critical therapeutic areas where cost of medication is very, very critical, with like cancer. And with Chile being opening doors to looking at high quality, low price generics, this is a good sign. And in the future also, in the pharmaceutical sector, the launch of biosimilars is something that we are looking at in the coming months. What is important is with the rising cases of COVID, we're also working towards launching products for mild to moderate cases of COVID and working to get the approvals for drugs for COVID in severe cases and mild to moderate cases. I can't emphasize enough on the importance of having a fast regulatory process and being open to high quality generics beyond price, also looking at quality parameters, manufacturing parameters to increase the access. At Dr. Reddy's, we are focusing towards launching affordable, high quality medications across LATAM, and Chile is an important part of that for us. So we look forward to working with the Chilean authorities so that we can fast track the approvals of the drugs, give more access to the patients, whether it is in cancer care, critical illnesses, or COVID. We are more than happy to partner with the authorities in Chile. So with that, I will hand over to my colleague, Mr. Vincent. We'll be happy to take any comments or questions.
Thank you, hello, Antona. Thank you, Mr. Palisibet. Thank you, Ambassador Anita Nayara, Ambassador Juan Angulo, for your words. And thank you all who will be here.
Mr. Vincent,
Yes.
this is Arvind here. May I request you to kindly increase your volume? You're not able to hear you too clearly. Thank you very much.
Okay. It's fine there now?
Yes, better.
Thank you. Okay. Well, a few words about pharmaceutical area. Chile is one of the most open markets in the world, with more than 26 free trade agreements with more than 50 countries. From there, we are able to impact more than 4,000 million people in the world. But why such numbers of drivers? We still have so little pharma interchange. Why Chile is not the entrance to Latam, for example? We have to think on this to unlock the total power of this work for decades. First, Chile is regulated and supervised by the ISP, our Public Health Institute, an organization level 4 according to the OPS. Since this, we are at the same level than Mexico, Brazil, Colombia, or Argentina. So Chile, technically, we are in the same level as Pacific Alliance countries. Secondly, Chile is a safe country, a country where you can establish and where law works the same for everyone. Third, our market is about 19 million population, with public sector growing and the private sector being every day more competitive. But what about the regional integration? What happened with the international exchange between Latin countries? A market of more than 400 million population. This is a great challenge, working together to develop this market and penetrate with quality products with competitive prices. Finally, but not less important, what about the export from Chile to India on pharmaceuticals? Chile has developed an interesting herbaric medicine sector, for example, with our own herbaric pharmacopoeia. how we can create together a bridge to transit from Chile to India both ways. We are more than welcome to develop both ways together. Thank you very much.
Anupama, Vicente, talking about these probably opportunities that we can foresee with the COVID situation in terms of probably a little more openness in terms of the, I don't know, the restrictions on the Ambassador Anita Nayar talks about the approval in Chile that are sometimes too long. And do you see that we can go forward on that, and how this COVID situation has been a challenge for actual businesses, because also what is going on today in terms of supply chain commitments, or what is the impact on your sector in terms of what is going on. For us that we are not familiar with the pharmaceutical sector, we tend to think that probably this situation can give us some opportunities in terms of flexibility on the authorities on this issue. Have you seen something of that?
Yes. Thank you, Carlos. I think you have brought in a very important point, especially given the current context. While Chilean regulatory authorities are quite efficient when it comes to approvals and requirements, but yes, it has taken a little longer than required time. I think there are ways to manage that and look at it, because in situations like where there is emergency like COVID, there should be opportunity of emergency use authorization, a quicker way of looking at it, so that caters to the emergency use of the medicine. And pharma companies can provide all the documentation to ensure that the approval is faster in case of emergency, and the patients get access to it faster. So if there are such mechanisms in place, which currently do not, to my mind and to what I have understood, does not exist, then it takes a longer time for a COVID product to be launched in Chile, and by the time the real emergency would have passed. So maybe good to look at emergency use authorization way of working.
Just like to mention two things in this regard. One is that there is an agreement being negotiated between our pharmaceutical regulatory authorities, the Indian side and the Chile side. And that would help a lot, because once the regulatory authorities accept each other's pharmacopoeia and accept each other's regulatory processes, then perhaps it would become easier. And that is something which is, I think, very close to finalization, I hope. And the other is, I understand that Chile is planning legislation to address these issues. My understanding is that there is some draft legislation which would make it, which would change the system, perhaps make it easier. I'm not very sure about the progress on that. Perhaps Ambassador Angulo or Ambassador Jorge could, Oran could shed more light on that. But I think both of these would be positive developments as and when they are finalized.
Thank you very much. Two words, Ambassador Nayar. Have you any news on that development that Ambassador was telling us?
Yes, I can share a few words about it. First, about the situation of COVID. We've been working really close with our health authorities. At the beginning, the flexibility of our authority, we can see it with them. We share the problems and we try to solve them till today, I think our supply chain is working, not a big problem. It's important to differentiate to facilitate and make it fast process than to improvise. You know, health it's really it's a high risk to improvise because if you make something wrong, it's not a problem of quality; it's a problem of health, life of the person. So sometimes it takes time, and that is something that we learn from other sectors. About the law, I think basically it's moving to Chile to be to continue the process of decades to be an open market, to incorporate good products, good quality from around the world, particularly from India also, trying to recognize health authorities around the world with education. It will be an opportunity to be together, to create this bridge, as I said, between India and Chile. And the great opportunity that we have to look forward in 10 years or 5 years, how this bridge that we are building together in India and Chile, we can expand it to LATAM, to Pacific Alliance, for example. Then from Chile trying to get those markets. That's I think is a great opportunity and we can together.
Thank you, Vicente. I want to pass through the IT sector and invite Rafael Pereira, AVP Sales of LATAM for Tech Mahindra, and Ubaldo Taladriz, President of Chile Tech, to share with us their insights on their sector. And starting with a question, basically, India is a huge country, it's a very large country, probably considering cultural differences inside India, we can talk about more than one country. So every region has its particularities, and in that sense, if you have some recommendation or insights in that term, when we talk about IT, normally we think about Bangalore or Mumbai or I don't know. What is your experience on that, and if there are any insight on that industry in terms of considering that multiple areas of India that can be of interest for Chilean entrepreneurs?
Thank you very much. It's an honor to be participating in this meeting, representing Tech Mahindra. Tech Mahindra is a very large IT company with over 125,000 associates. The majority, of course, out of India. We do have different delivery centers in many places out of India. It depends on particularly on the technology that we are working with our customers, industry-wise. So we do have delivery centers in Pune, Chennai, Delhi, Mumbai, Bangalore, Hyderabad. It's a very, very large corporation. We are in Latin America for the past over almost 20 years, since 2003, 2004. We started working with a telecommunication vertical sector, and for the past 4 or 5 years, due to a lot of acquisitions that we've done in Latin America, we're able to grow and also start working with different verticals as well, and specifically for Chile with natural resource, CPG and retail, banking, and pharma sector as well. So I see that today with the COVID-19 crisis, there's a huge advantage for India due to the size of the country, due to the size of the staff, the pool of resources working with IT, providing services for Latin America countries and specifically for Chile as well. We see that, I would say that for the past 6 months, perhaps, I've been working harder than for the past, many, many years. The digital transformation has changed the way everybody has worked. The digital transformation has helped many of the companies in order to establish communication, keep the infrastructure in place, and there's a lot of opportunities in terms of coming out of the recession, in terms of applying technologies like automation and machine learning and things like that. The company is working a lot with multinational companies operating in Chile. If I may say, we still see some challenges in working with local companies from Chile in order to grow also locally with the clients in Chile. We've been working a lot with multinational companies like Anglo-American, DPW has just acquired recently Puertos Logísticos. So there's a lot of those companies leveraging this COVID-19 in order to accelerate and expedite their digital transformation. So we've seen a lot of traction. We've seen a lot of opportunities. We've seen a lot of companies working in order to come out of their current situation, leveraging digital technologies to be in a better place in the short and medium term.
So can you share us your views on this, and if from your side in terms of the Chilean side of this relationship, how do you see this huge India supplier?
Okay, good morning, good evening to everybody. Of course, we have a lot of time working with some companies in the IT sector, with Indian companies. Most of them are large companies that are working with large companies in Chile. So I think we have a great opportunity to develop some relationship between small and medium-sized companies between Chile and India. Also, we are a very small industry yet in Chile. We are growing up faster. We are developing new solutions in different areas. So we are working together with another sectors like retail, mining, and agriculture in order to export our services. Also, we have a lot of companies that are installed in Chile, like Nisum, that are providing some nearshoring services to the USA from Chile. So we have a very good experience working with the Indian companies. Also, we have right now some situation with the digital talent because, of course, like many other countries, we have difficulties with the digital talent. We have I think about 5,000 workers need to complete all the market needs. So we are developing some new digital talent programs to cover that needs in the market. Of course, our first option is the USA market. We are working together with Europe right now, and we will be very happy to develop a strong relationship with the Asia Pacific Alliance market. Talking about the startups, we have a very strong startups that are actually growing up, and they are getting some unicorns. This is a new situation from Chile because in the past we didn't have any unicorns. We have companies like Corner Shop, Notco, and also Cipedi. Cipedi is a very good example that we are doing some complex technology from Chile. They are using robotics to work in the stores for the retail. NotCo is using machine learning to develop some healthy food, and that is the market in the IT sector.
Thank you, Waldo. Going to the food and beverage sector, well, we have Arden as one of the participants as chair of the regional council, and Edmundo Valderrama from Chilenet. And before asking them some remarks on their just put a couple of questions or issues that I can foresee that probably are important in the food sector. That are probably the market conditions for the access to India are for Chilean products, if there is any particularities on that, and also if there, what are main regulations that this product has to comply with to get to the India market. I know that in the actual agreements, there are some sectors that has privilege in tariffs. I don't know how this works for food and beverage sector, and if there is any incentive on that. So I handle to Arvin and.
Thank you so much, Carlos. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Arvind Varchesvi and also the Managing Director of Shri Shri Tattva. To give you a little background as to the varied verticals that what the organization is into right now, it's right from Ayurveda, that's the Indian traditional medicine, where we've championed and ensured that it is recognized as a system of medicine in many countries abroad. And recently, we've also got the ANMAT GMP as a herbal medicinal facility, and also the GMP for our products thereon. We would like to see that how we bring across this particular system over there. I'll just dwell on that in just a moment. But apart from that, we're also there into FMCG. We're also there in the space of personal care. We're in the space of training, people in the of Life Ayurveda. We have our colleges and also universities here in India. So we'll also be happy to see that how we sign across MOUs over there with universities there in Chile, to see that how we could propagate healthy lifestyles, as what our Honorable Ambassador also mentioned. Apart from that, we're also there into apparel. We're there into high-end skincare items as well. And right now, the footprint of our organization is that we export to 56 countries. And you would be happy to note that we already export to Argentina. We export to Peru. We've also started to Uruguay recently. We launched in last week. We're also there in Brazil. And we are also looking at Chile as a very strategic place whereby we would like to set up something. Coming to the point, Carlos, as to what you mentioned, I feel that that there are certain things that what Chile and India can do across. Chile is very rich in natural resources and also very strong in agriculture. So I'm sure that there are a lot of synergies that what can go across between both these great nations, to see that how we bring in a greater amount of trade between each other. We would need to also look at quality raw material. So raw material, whether it's herbs or whether it's vegetables or fruits. This particular matter, what our Honorable Ambassador also made a mention that mangoes is something that what India can export, and I'm sure that we can look at certain things that what Chile can export back over here. I see that I also have one of my colleagues over here from Chile Nut, who will also be able to tell you that what is it we can do with India from Chile when it comes even to this particular sector. I'd like to make a mention to you that right now we've also seen that we encourage local entrepreneurs there in Argentina to also manufacture our clarified butter. So here in India, it's called ghee. So there we've also launched our a brand called Golden Monkey. They're a specific brand of clarified butter that what we're championing across in Argentina. So I'd like to see that whether there are opportunities even in the dairy sector there in Chile, to see perhaps we could manufacture, pack, and also export perhaps not to India, but also to other countries locally over there. Apart from this, we also manufacture our health bars there in Argentina. It's called Laddu Bar. So we're also starting to export that from there also to Brazil and a whole lot of other countries nearby. So Chile, in case if we could see that perhaps we could put up some sort of a manufacturing unit or also collaborate with other brands over there to start manufacturing something on the health space, we'll be more than happy to do so. Apart from that, when it comes to the services sector, we'll be happy to send across our doctors and also lifestyle consultants to see that how we bring in an entire lifestyle change when it comes to the FMCG product. You'll be happy to note that the toothpaste that what we send across, whether it's in India or we export, it's all non-fluoride. We're as a company, we completely are against parabens. So there are a whole lot of lifestyle changes that what we can bring across there to Chile in the space of health. So it's not just about on the curative aspect, but also attending to the lifestyle that makes a difference. So we champion black rice. So we could see that whether we could have a whole lot of fields that would champion the aspect of black rice over there in Chile. And as what I mentioned, that I think that there are many things that what as a brand of Shri Shri Tattva that we would like to champion across with Chile. Apart from just bringing and exporting our products there to Chile, we'd like to also see that there is good amount of space for manufacturing products locally and attending to the local economy, whether it's in the space of product and services. And we look forward to that. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Edmundo, are you there? And well, Edmundo is president of Chilenat, and the nuts had a big share of Chilean exports to India. Even though when we hear that it's just around $50 million, I think that Chilenat has at least half of that volume. So probably Edmundo can share us the insight that industry that in relatively terms has been successful addressing the India market. You're silenced.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. Good morning, everybody, ambassadors and my colleagues in the panel. Yes, it's about the fruit industry in Chile is important. I heard that, as many of you said about it, is mainly focused on export. Besides 2 or 3 products, 90 to 97% of the volume is intended to be exported. One of them is walnuts, which has been very successful in India since the opening, the phytosanitary opening about 5 years ago, in 2014-15. Mrs. Ambassador told us several aspects that is not helping. One is distance. Languages and duties, if I'm not wrong. The volume exported, the volumes and the quantity exported from Chile on walnuts, also the fruit like apples and kiwi fruits have been lost help when the duties have been decreased. Unfortunately, in the case of walnuts, which is the main product of nuts and one of the main products exported to India. Since 2010, when India put some regulatory duties on USA walnuts, also do it to Chile to 100%. And all the growth we saw in the past, and we saw that could be a huge exchange and of course a great big volume going to India. A little bit stopped since then. I guess when the new conversation is coming, there will be a table to discuss these duties, because of course India is a very large population. Is so huge to compare. Is China is producing a million metric tons of walnuts for a population of close to India. Is about the same. India is producing 35,000 metric ton, plus import is not more than 50,000. So consumption in India is is 20 times less than China. So it means, in other way, that the Indian population would consume a lot more if they're able to get the products at the right price. We saw it every time that an import duty is decreased, like we saw it on kiwi fruits a couple of years ago, we saw on walnuts 4 years ago, and that is one of the main issues we have at the moment. Okay, Indian consumers loved the Chilean fruits. We saw it every time that we start selling. The quality, and of course, and also the timing. When all the products from Chile are arriving to India, is all the festival times. Is Diwali, another festival that is also helping a lot to increase consumption. We're pretty sure that with the right duties, also to improving distribution, as Ambassador also said. Of course, now we are reaching the main cities. All the imports are based on Delhi, Mumbai. There's plenty of the place and big cities, Bangalore, Calcutta, Chennai, and others that well, we're not reaching this area yet. Okay, and we have to, and of course, it's a matter of time when we come and work to be able to reach all the other places and large population of India. Carlos, when you spoke at the beginning, I was not able to hear you properly because I have some problems with the sounds. I don't know. Is something you mentioned about also the commerce between India and Chile on foods and fruits?
Sorry, who are we hearing?
Sorry, this is Edmundo. Carlos Sublet, beginning, when you introduced me, introduced the food and beverage sector, you mentioned some points. I missed them because every time I think you turn on your video, I'm not able to hear you properly. Maybe you can turn it off and tell me a little bit more because I was not able to catch it.
Yeah. Basically, I was asking in terms of your experience in the regulations that in the food and beverage sector have the nuts have faced and obviously been successful. So how, if you can share us that sort of insights in terms of how this sector in that short period of time was able to get from nothing to, or today be half of the Chilean exports to India.
Okay, understood now. Well, the main point has been the work done by the Agricultural and Livestock Service in Chile with the Indian authorities to be able to open phytosanitary the product from Chile, walnuts, kiwi fruits, and other products. The requirements from Indian authorities on fumigation has been the main point, which is have been simplified and that help a lot and increase the trade between Chile and India. As far as now, I would say there is still some remaining requirements on fumigation, especially on processed products as kernel and or shelled walnuts, which are not very easy to comply, but we're able to do it. Okay, it would be great that it can be simplified, but as far as now, I would say that all the regulations and the phytosanitary are okay and passed. I would say the main issue at the moment are duty imports, as I said before. As soon as we see decrease this one, that will help a lot. We calculate as a producers here in Chile that the volumes of ones can be imported from India can be multiplied by 3, 4, 5 times in a very short period with the right duties. Of course, according to our calculations, there are 2 points that may help India to do that. The first one is the total duties that India may have, but by a decrease will be larger than now because the volume will boost. The second one is all the walnuts exported to India are reprocessed over there, okay? And we calculate that all the labor that can create it by that could be close to 5 million people, and mainly in the areas of New Delhi and Mumbai. So there is a lot of benefits we see on this on decreasing the import duties. First, getting cheaper and more available products in India. Second one is labor created, and that also can be a good factor if we analyze that. That will be the situation, Carlos.
Thank you, Edmundo. Well, we are behind schedule, as someone is telling me over there, so I want to Manish Singhal, Deputy Secretary General of FICCI. You're silent, Manish. Go ahead.
Yeah, so thanks. Good evening once again, everyone in India. Good morning in Chile. Ambassador Nair, Ambassador Yuan Anglo, Mr. Arvind Vichaswi, and all the other eminent people today we heard. Friends, ladies, gentlemen, friends from the media, just to put in context, let me share a bit of background as to why we gathered here today, if I can say, and what Namaskar Pacific Alliance as a theme is all about. You know, it's a flagship initiative of FICCI, wherein we organize interactions within the Pacific Alliance countries and India. So we are basically talking of Chile, Peru, Colombia, and Mexico. You know, that's about 200 million people and a similar GDP as India's. So we are talking of really a big big relationship. And Pacific Alliance, as you all know, actually has a very over-imposing role in overall trade and investment in Latin America. Just these 4 countries do almost a third and more than that of trade and investment for Latin America. So we plan to engage more with these countries besides some others in the continent. And in the series of these interactions, we are also going to have an expo later this year, which we'll obviously call Namaskar Pacific Alliance Expo. This comes, of course, in the backdrop of some excellent historical relations Chile and India enjoy. Like Ambassador said, we've been enjoying this relationship right since August 1947, when India became independent. And notable part is that Chilean diplomat and writer, Mr. Juan Marin, he was a special envoy of government of Chile to participate in the ceremony of Independence Day in August 1947. He was the only Latin American representative in that capacity during those celebrations, if our understanding is correct. Now, both countries, of course, have moved much beyond that, and the relationship is multifaceted and multifarious. We also cooperate on multilateral platforms at the UNSC, and of course, when we engage at the ECLAC. India is also an observer in the Pacific Alliance itself. As far as trade investment is concerned, it is in the region of 150 to 200 million as far as FDI is concerned from either side. Of course, in terms of financial investments, we understand from Chile to India, they actually exceed more than $3 billion. When we talk of trade, we all are aware that India and Chile are working towards expansion of the PTA. And that's where actually, Ambassador was asking us earlier in terms of role for the FICCI Latin America Regional Council, that's where the role of such a council comes in, because this council is represented by industry members across sectors. So if we have to discuss bilateral issues like India-Chile PTA, it becomes in very handy. And of course, larger sub-regional platforms like with Pacific Alliance, those are also discussed. And yes, pan-region is also discussed, but like Ambassador Yuan rightly said, we have to look at Latin America as each separate country, as culturally and business culture-wise, they're all very different. So we believe that the participation by all of you today actually reinforces the need for greater engagement between our countries, and such interactions do strengthen it. Ambassador Nair, we've taken note of your suggestion that maybe as a next step, we need to move sector specific, and we'll surely work on that direction. So formally thanking you, Ambassador Nair, Ambassador Angelo, the Chilean ambassador to India, of course, Mr. Arvind Verchesvi, the managing director of Shri Shri Tattva and chair of FICCI Latin American Council, Mr. Orion, Director General Pro Chile, thank you so much. In fact, I think this program today would not have been possible without the support of Santiago Chamber of Commerce and Pro Chile. I think they've been long-lasting partners for us, and we always enjoy working with them. And these things do take our economic engagement to further heights. Before I conclude, I would just like to share with you all that FICCI is launching a new platform called the LEADS. LEADS is an acronym for Leadership, Excellence, Adaptability, Diversity, and Sustainability. This is a global program. This year it will be a 4-day program where we are going to have 11 theme sessions covering our engagement with each and every region of the world. So we'll be sharing more details with you all in subsequent communications. But yes, I would like to take this opportunity to participate in this global platform. This is from 12th to 15th October this year, and look forward to having you all with us there. With these words, once again, a big thank you for sparing your time. Have a good day and a good evening.
And Manish ji,
yeah,
this is Arvind here. I would also like to make a special mention to everybody here that the entire backing team, Gajendra ji, and of course Aman over here who is hosting us, and also Manisha and also Vitant. I think all of them have done a fantastic job in putting this entire seminar across together for all of us. So I would like to thank them, and of course Manish ji who's brought everybody here together. So thank you very much.
So thanks for highlighting this, Arvind ji. In fact, they are the backbone. I'm just front ending it. Without them, of course, nothing like this happens. Thank you so much, all. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
And if I may add, Elizabeth, because I think from the Chilean side, she's been working very, very hard on this particular program. So thanks, Elizabeth.
Miss Elizabeth, thank you very much, and it's a real pleasure. So thank you for giving the entire team of FICCI here all your support. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody.
Everybody, thank you.
Wish all of you the best of luck.
Thank you, Excellency.
Thanks, Carlos.
Thank you, Your Excellencies. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Good night.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.